minutes just coming in here. Canada's industry minister talking about this copper issue. Let's listen in to Melanie Joly.
Canada can get a deal without tariffs on Canadian industries by July 21st. And will you agree to a deal with the U.S. that maintains any tariffs on Canada?
Okay, so first and foremost, when it comes to the latest declaration from the president in the United States, we have not yet seen an executive order. Of course, our embassy in Washington is following very closely, as well as the entire team back in Ottawa. That being said, every single journalist in the country wants to have more information about the negotiations, and my answer is always the same. We will let the Prime Minister do the negotiation, supported, of course, by our negotiator-in-chief back in Washington, Kirsten Holman, and we will not negotiate in public. That being said, being the Minister of Industry, my job right now is to make sure that in the context of this trade war, I'm supporting the front lines of this trade war, which are the workers and the companies affected by the unjustifiable and unjustified tariffs against aluminum workers, against also steel workers, and of course against the auto workers. And that's what I'm working every single day.
I maintain my job is to still ask the question, so I want to zero in on one specific industry. Will your government agree to any level of tariffs on Canada's auto industry to make a deal with the U.S.?
Our goal has always been to make sure that we protect the jobs. And right now, my job is to support the industry. So we are working on an auto $2 billion fund to support the workers and the industries. Again, this morning I was in contact with auto CEOs back in Ontario. And I've been in contact also with the Minister of Industry, Vic Fedeli, last night again on this issue. Thank you.
Question.
Hi, Minister. Thomas Steele from Bloomberg. Sorry to also ask about automakers and tariffs. They have cut production in Ontario in response to tariffs already. Toyota yesterday was saying they may have to adjust production in response to that if they don't change. So Canada's penalising companies for such moves. When do those penalties kick in, and do they retroactively apply to companies who have already adjusted their production down?
So first and foremost, we're always open for discussion with the auto sector, maybe with the D3, the Detroit 3, so basically Ford, Stellantis, and GM, but also with the Japanese automakers, Honda and Toyota. We're having a broad range of conversations with them, maybe on ZEV mandates, maybe also on the remission system. Our goal is to make sure that ultimately we can protect jobs because we know the auto sector is fundamental to Canada's manufacturing sector and to our national sovereignty. What I'm having conversations with them about is how also they can use more of our steel and aluminum, because I want to make sure as we look at the trade war going on that we're supporting all three industries affected, steel, aluminum, and auto, and that we can work together to help each other.
Just to follow up, and are those two things linked? Could they sort of get relief in return for using more Canadian steel and aluminum?
So I won't answer directly your question because, of course, I don't negotiate in public, like I said. But, of course, we're in solution mode, and we're in contacts with all the different CEOs and union leaders in the sector. These are difficult times. You know, when we talk about a trade war, it's a term that we don't take lightly. We know that a lot of people are anxious in these sectors. We know that livelihoods are at stake. And so that's why we're really looking at the core of the issue while at the same time negotiating. So we can do both, reinforce the sector, make sure that there's still investments in these three sectors, and meanwhile negotiate. And that's what we'll do.
Last question.
All right, so we're listening to Melanie Joly. She's Canada's industry minister. This is a event going on in Vancouver, answering a lot of questions from reporters about the trade war that Donald Trump launched against Canada months ago now. The president's latest threat, threatening to target copper imports into the U.S. at 50%. Canada imports a lot of copper into the U.S., so that would again hurt that industry. Also, the president has mused about 200% tariffs on pharmaceuticals. That could have an impact on our country's pharmaceutical industry. Remember, Canada trying to come up with a trade deal by July the 21st. That is less than 2 weeks away. The question is, can it be done or not? We simply don't know, and no doubt neither does the Carney government, although it's trying its best.